So, all right, guys, we got to get this one right. On three, we're going to say, welcome back to Extraordinary Thoughts Put on Their Mind. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Extraordinary Minds.
And we back.
That'll work right there.
Yeah.
And we back. And we
Yeah.
back. And we back. And we back. And we
Y'all did y'all best. And that's all that matters.
Now, before we get started with this episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this episode, share this podcast, and if you can, do me a favor, head on down to the review section and leave an honest review, because this podcast was dedicated to helping us become a better version of ourselves. And I don't know what that version is, but I know that just like we need a little bit more money, just like we need a little bit more sleep, just like we need a little bit more of anything in life, we deserve to be a little better than what we are right now. What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm your host, Demetrius Thickpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. All right, so today, this episode is all about the internet's favorite word, and that's toxic. You know what I mean? And as we dive into this episode, I really want to just really talk about our roles in that word and how everything isn't fucking toxic. Oh my God. I just got to get that out. I got to get that off my chest. You know, everything is not toxic. And because we're so quick to label everything toxic, I feel like as if we miss our role in it and the aspects in which our culture plays into that. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get into today's episode. It's like what I said. Everything isn't toxic. You know what I mean? Everything. Wait. Hold up. The energy ain't right. The energy ain't right. You know what I mean? I feel like I just got on this episode and I feel like I'm kind of rushing it. You know? I feel like we only got a little bit of time with each other, but I feel like I'm hurried. I'm trying to spitball some information to you. And I don't want to feel like that. So let me just start over real quick, and I apologize for that. What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. I hope that your Monday morning is going to be prosperous, and I hope that you're ready to tackle your goals. I hope that you're ready to become a better version of yourself. I hope that you're ready for this Monday. You know what I mean? You're properly recharged from the weekend and you're ready to just go ahead and jumpstart your week. Now, with that being said, just like what I had said earlier, the internet's favorite word. You know, the internet's favorite word is toxic, bro. And I don't know what it is about that. You know, it just seems like as if something doesn't play in our favor, you know what I mean? If something doesn't play in our favor, it's toxic. If we don't like something, it's toxic. If somebody does something that we don't like, they're toxic. If we see a relationship that we don't like, it's toxic. You know what I mean? We go to work, we don't like the way that a leader, conducts himself, they're toxic. And it just seems like everything is toxic, and that's not even the reality of it. You know what I mean? It's not even the reality of it. I feel like a lot of times, honestly, I feel like most of the time, we're the toxic ones. You feel me? I feel like we're the toxic ones. And because we don't want to admit that we're the ones that are toxic, it's easier to just say that everything else around us is toxic. So if you don't mind, I really want to just go back in time with you and just share a little piece of me. And it was 2020. And for those who don't know about 2020, yes, I understand that's when the world was going through a pandemic. But although the world felt like they were shutting down, I felt like I was rising. You know what I mean? I felt like I was rising. I had just started speaking at venues, gigs. You know what I mean? The world was shutting down, but for some reason I was still getting booked. You know, the podcast was constantly getting mentioned in X, Y, and Z's page or getting an article written on it. You know what I mean? I was receiving success at such a fast rate, you know? And not only that, I was in one of the best places that I could be, both mentally and physically. Physically, I was in sunny California, you know? Ain't no fucking sun. Ain't no better place than California if you ask me. And with that being said, man, I just really want to just say my condolences to the families that were involved in that LA traffic accident. It's oh my God, dude. Like if you've read about that, it's tragic, man. Like it's really tragic, especially for those people to lose their lives to just something just so damn. So if you're in the LA area, man, like my heart going out to you. But back to the story. And like once again, I'm in California. I'm loving my life. Physically, I'm doing great. I'm in the best place where I could be. You know what I mean? I'm around the best people that I could be around at that exact moment, I had stopped smoking, you know what I mean? Like I'm putting on good weight, you know what I mean? Like I'm becoming more confident in myself and who I am, you know what I mean? Like I'm wearing crop tops and shit. Physically, I'm doing great. Emotionally, I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing emotionally. You feel me? Just like what I said, I was confident, very confident. And not only was I confident in how I looked in the mirror, I was confident in how I spoke on stages. I was confident behind the mic. I was confident in front of the Marines. I was doing great. 2020, at the very end, is when my world changed a little bit. This is when it changed a little bit. I got orders. I got sent to Virginia. And I'm going to just tell you right now, like, coming from California to Virginia was a big switch for me. You know what I mean? Like it was a big switch for me. And when I say that it was a big switch, I mean, let's just be frank here. Fucking Virginia sucks, bro. Like I'm not even about to lie. Like Virginia sucks, bro. Like the DMV area is not for me, bro. And coming from there and coming from Cali and moving to, the DMV, I went through it a little bit. Like I went through it and I went through a dark spell. I wasn't around like my friends. I wasn't around like, like my family. I wasn't receiving that glory from the podcast anymore. I wasn't getting booked anymore. You know what I mean? Not only that, but I'm at a different unit now. These people don't know me and I don't know them. I'm training nonstop. I'm moving nonstop. I'm starting to lose weight. And then I fucked around and, I relapsed. Started smoking again. I'm stressed out. That's just what's going on around me. What was going on inside of me was a different story. And I bring that up, man. And I tell this story because, a lot of times, like we're quick to say that everything else is toxic before we actually take a look at ourselves and realize that we're the toxic ones. You know what I mean? And when I say that, I was saying that everything around me was toxic. Oh, I can't wait to get out of Virginia. Oh, I can't wait to get away from these people. Not realizing that I started to become toxic myself. So as we dive into this episode, understand, man, like we're going to break down what it means when we're the ones that's toxic and how we actually have an effect on everything around us. Now for those who don't know, like people tend to play an active role in this toxicity. You know what I mean? Like they play an active role in it. And it's either they're the victim or they're the villain in the story. Like they're either the victim or they're the villain. And when I say like they're the victim, it's always, woe is me. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, they always got something to say about me. Oh, they don't care about me. They only care about themselves. It's because of this. You know what I mean? Like it's always everybody else is attacking them. You feel me? Like everybody else is attacking them. And because you're the victim in the story, you don't even realize the shit that you're doing to probably cause all of these things. You feel me? Like you don't even realize it. And what I mean by that is because I was the victim in this story at one point. I was playing the role of the victim. And I'm sitting here in Virginia, right? Like I'm sitting here in Virginia and I'm talking shit thinking to myself like, oh, well, they don't like me because of this. Oh man, I hate this place because it ain't California. I'm not getting booked because of this. Nobody knows who I am because of this. You know what I mean? And the reality is that I'm doing a lot of, I'm the one that's actually toxic. I'm the one that's actually causing a lot of shit that's going on in my life. And I don't even realize that. I'm blaming my friends for not sticking by me. But every time my friends call me, you feel me? Like I'm actually kind of negative on the phone. As soon as we get on the phone, I'm already drinking. I'm talking about how much I hate the place. You know, and this is the thing is that when you the victim, when you the victim and nobody wants to subscribe to you being the victim, they don't want to play that role with you, you get agitated and you start to attack people. I remember verbally attacking people or saying like some slick shit so that way they could feel the same way that I'm feeling. And one thing that we don't understand is that when you do that, you push people away. You actually dig yourself deeper in the hole, if that makes sense. I go to the job. I'm talking about how I can't connect with them, but I start to become closed off and I don't want to connect. I don't even want to open up to them so we can create a connection. I'm upset about the taskers I'm getting, but I'm dropping the ball on the taskers. I'm not even realizing that it's me that's fucking doing it. And I really just want to take a step back and just ask that, have we ever been in a situation where we played the victim? You know what I mean? Like, it may not be a situation that you're currently in, but really do yourself a favor and look back. Look back on a moment where it seemed like things weren't going the way that they were supposed to and ask yourself, what role did you play? Did you sit there and complain and say that, it's everyone else's fault and not your own? And usually we don't realize the damage that we caused and the role that we played until afterwards. And the sad part about afterwards is that we've already lost things. We've already lost things. We lost opportunities. We lost friendships. We lost a little bit of ourselves. And I don't mean to I ain't trying to beat nobody up on this, man, because a lot of times, like, we tend to change who we are when we're in a state of survival. You know, when you're going through a hardship, you switch over from thriving into surviving. So don't really beat yourself up for how you reacted when you were in survival mode. Don't beat yourself up. Now, I did mention that people play, two roles, victim and villain. And I kind of alluded to it when people would call me. You know what I mean? Like when they didn't want to play that role of victim, they didn't want to indulge in my role of being the victim. So they would, I would turn into the villain. You don't want me to be the victim? Fine, I'll just be the villain. And this part of toxicity that we see a lot of, right? Because it happened to me, I'm going to do it to them. Because I feel like this, I want you to feel like this. I want everyone around me to feel like this. This role really came up a lot when I was going through social media. We were very quick to talk about like the toxic leader. And I'm not one to try to undermine what people say. Like, yes, there are toxic leaders. There are toxic leaders. But a lot of times, there are many toxic followers. And because they were held accountable or because they didn't like how a certain thing was, they ended up either becoming the victim. Let me rephrase, they played the role of the victim, or they end up becoming the villain. Oh, well, they don't like me anyway, so I'm going to just do this. Oh, well, fine then, I'm going to get out. And when they get out, they just harass everybody that they see online that triggers them. And I ain't trying to undermine anybody's triggers. I'm just bringing it up. That you might actually be the toxic person in your life. And when I talk about being the villain in the story, ain't nothing worse than the victim who finally gets a little bit of power. That finally gets a little bit of influence. That finally gets a little bit of freedom. That finally gets a little bit of something because they ain't healed. I'm big on the healing part. Because if you don't heal from what's causing you this, like if you don't address the toxic shit that's going on in your life and the role that you may play in it, it does not go away. It just manifests. You feel me? It shows itself in other ways. You were the victim for so long, and then you finally got a little bit of power. And that power, I use that very vaguely. I use it very vaguely because depending on who it is, that power may mean something differently to somebody else. That power may be you getting in front of some other Marines or other people and you got a little bit of, leadership over them. That power may be you actually getting out of the environment that you are in, but because you did not heal from that environment, you every time you get on social media, you harass everybody that's currently still in it, or you have something negative to say to them about it, and they can't do anything to you. That power may be you coming out of a bad relationship and now you're going into a new relationship and you're going to do the things that person did to you to them. That power may be different on some people. So a lot of times, once again, like we either playing two roles, either we're playing the victim or we're playing the villain. And I've been on both sides of those. I have. It took me a long time to realize my role in the negative shit that was going on in my life. Now, the big question is always going to be how I got out of that, And I want to be the first one to say that it wasn't an overnight thing. You feel me? It was not an overnight thing. This was months later. Hell, it was almost a year, of unpaid gigs, bullshit on social media, disconnection from people, disconnection from work, until finally I had to address what was going on with me. I have to. And a lot of times is that it's easier to blame. I know I've said that before, but it's easier to blame everyone else before you talk about what you're doing, before you talk about your role in this. And I had to address it. I had to address my role in the situation. And if you're having a hard time addressing your role in the situation, then you need to ask somebody that you're close to. That was a part of my journey right there. That was a part of my healing, is that I had to actually talk to people that I was close to, and I had to tell them the whole story. And when I say I had to tell them the whole story, y'all already know that there's 3 sides to the story. It's your side, his side, and the side of the story, or the story. I had to tell them the whole story. And I had to hear what they were telling me. And after I heard what they were saying, I already made my necessary adjustments. I put everything into, let me rephrase, I heard what they were saying and I put in my input. That's when I had to start making my necessary adjustments. I can't stress this enough, is that you want to change your environment, and it goes back into the law of attraction. Based off of the positive or negative thoughts that you have in your head is going to determine the positive or negative outcomes within your life. So if you want your life to get better, you got to start feeding it. You know what I mean? Like if you're waking up in the morning and you're saying to yourself that you hate your job, you hate the people that you work with, you hate going there, you're already going to hate it as soon as you get there. And it's easier said than done. And I'm not just saying that, because you're thinking that it's going to happen. There's more to it. You got to actively do it. Even on your bad days. Just because you think it, you still got to do it. If you say that you want to have better days, you got to create better days. If you want to get out of the role of the victim and villain, you got to actively do these things. Many will stay in this role, right? Like we will stay in this role because it's hard. We'll go back to this role when we have setbacks. We will do these things when the shit does not go our way. But the reality is, and I can't stress this enough, everybody ain't toxic. And if you think that everybody is toxic, it might be you. And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Stay tuned every Monday as we bring you another episode. And lastly, don't forget to like this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, and share this podcast, because this podcast was dedicated to helping you become a better version of yourself. And I don't know who needs to hear that, but just like we need more sleep, just like we need more money, we deserve to be a better version of ourselves. Stay hungry, stay motivated. I'm out.